A developer integrates an external payment API. The documentation specifies TLS. They read it, implement certificate verification, the library validates the chain of trust, and the check returns success. The connection is established. It goes into production. 3 months later, a penetration tester finds that hostname verification was never enabled. Every connection since deployment has been established without confirming that the server presenting the certificate was the server the code intended to reach. The verification code was correct. The coverage question was never asked. This is the form the gap takes in practice. Not a missing check, but a check that was present and correct, and covered something narrower than the system assumed. The developer verified the certificate. The system acted as though it had verified the connection. Those are not the same thing, and the distance between them is measurable. Every verification check has a contract, a precise statement of the specific property it confirms, and the specific properties it does not. Understanding that contract and mapping it honestly against the trust decisions a system makes on the back of it is what separates a verified system from a secure one. JWT token validation is the most instructive place to trace this. A JWT carries a set of claims: the issuer, the subject, the audience, the expiration time, the not before time, the algorithm, and any application-specific claims the system depends on. Signature verification, the check most implementations actually call, confirms one property of that set: that the signature over the payload is valid under the expected key. It says nothing about whether the issuer names a provider this service was configured to trust, whether the audience claim specifies this service, whether the token has expired, or whether the algorithm field contains a value the service intended to accept. The coverage failure is not theoretical. An expired token carries a valid signature. A token issued for a different service on the same signing infrastructure carries a valid signature. Consider a platform that signs tokens for both a public user API and an internal admin API using the same key. A token issued for the user API passes signature verification at the admin API. If the admin API never checks the audience claim, confirming that the token names it as the intended recipient, it accepts a token it was never meant to receive. No key was compromised. No signature was forged. The system acted on one confirmed property and assumed the others followed. Each of those other properties is a distinct check. RFC 7519, the JWT specification, lists all of them as required validation steps, not optional enhancements. Implementations exist that call every one. The failure is not that the methods are absent from the library. It is that the system calls one method and acts as though it called them all. TLS certificate verification follows the same structure across a larger claim surface. Establishing a trustworthy TLS connection requires confirming at least 4 independent properties: that the certificate was issued by a trusted authority, that the cryptographic chain from leaf to root is intact, that the hostname on the certificate matches the server the client intended to reach, and that the certificate is currently valid and has not been revoked. Chain verification covers the first 2. Hostname verification and revocation checking are separate, independent steps. Neither is performed by chain verification, and neither is implied by it. Most TLS libraries perform chain verification by default. Many perform hostname verification by default as well. Revocation checking is typically optional, frequently disabled to avoid latency, and commonly configured to fail open, treating an unreachable OCSP endpoint as evidence of a clean certificate. Remove any one of those 4 properties from the verification surface, and the connection can be established with a certificate the client has no good reason to accept. Remove 2, and the options for exploitation multiply. This is what a verification surface looks like: the complete set of properties a system must confirm before acting on a claim, across every validation layer involved in a trust decision. What most systems actually verify is a subset of that surface, the cryptographic primitives that libraries expose as default calls, without the semantic checks that require knowing what the claim is supposed to mean in this context, for this service, at this moment. The coverage assumption is what fills the gap between the two. The implicit belief, built into most systems without being stated, that one confirmed property has established everything that matters. A chain is valid, and that means the connection is trustworthy. A signature is valid, and that means the token is safe to act on. The assumption is not unreasonable on its face. It is wrong in the specific case, in ways that are consistent enough to be structural. The properties that systems leave off the verification surface are not arbitrary. They cluster around context. Who issued this, for whom, under what constraints, and whether those constraints still hold. These are the properties that require the system to know something about itself, its own identity, its configured trust anchors, its operational moment. Libraries cannot supply that knowledge. Only the application can. When the application does not provide it, the verification surface has blind spots the system has never named. Those blind spots are exactly where targeted attacks land. Not because finding them requires unusual skill, because a check that was never written cannot fire on input that was designed to exploit the gap. An attacker who knows that a service verifies signatures but skips audience validation has a precise vector. Issue a token from the same authority for a different purpose and present it. The signature verification confirms what it always confirms. The missing check confirms nothing because it was never there. The RFC specifications are not vague on this. JWT requires issuer, audience, expiration, and algorithm validation. TLS requires hostname and revocation checks in addition to chain verification. Code signing standards require certificate purpose, chain validity, and revocation status alongside the hash. The full verification surface is documented. Most systems implement part of it and rely on the coverage assumption for the rest. For every verification check in a system, the library call, the middleware validation, the gateway policy, there is a coverage question sitting behind it. Not whether the check passed, which properties it covered, and which ones it was never asked about.